It was a Sunday afternoon, and my daughter, who was very pregnant at the time, was driving my car, and she was dropping off her oldest child for me to watch so that she and her boyfriend could go to the movies. And I went out on the porch that day, and she had parked the car in the wrong direction on the wrong side of the street, facing that way, basically just to drop the baby off, come up the stairs and hand me the baby so that she could go back and leave. By the time she got to the stairs, the patrol car came out of Walgreens parking lot and slowed down. And the window was down, and a female police officer was driving. And I said to her, she's just dropping the baby off, she's leaving. And from that point, all kind of verbal, nasty things were coming from this police officer's mouth. And she jumped out of the car and ran up to the porch. So my daughter and I are like looking at each other like, what is going on? She's telling me that I didn't ask you any questions. You don't talk to me unless I tell you to. And it just was insane why this was happening. The male officer got out of the car, and he was standing in the street, and he was like, what's going on? He didn't even know what was happening. So I said to her very nicely, very professionally, can I please have your name and badge number? And she got irate. She started telling me she was not going to give it to me. It was none of my business. And I said, well, you're on my porch, and you're screaming at me, and you weren't even invited here. I want your name and your badge number. And she continued to say nasty, racially motivated, speech towards me. We called the 4th District, and I told whoever it was that answered the phone what was happening. And they said, well, get the number off of the vehicle and come down to the station and file the complaint. She ran up the driveway, and she was screeching at the top of her lungs that I was interfering with official police business. I started walking away from her, and when I did, I didn't even know she was behind me. She had grabbed me, and she pulled me all the way across the yard, and she threw me on top of the car, and she's cursing me, and my family is like, what is going on? Because it was just totally out of control. She was just out of control. I'd never seen anything like this before. And she grabs me and she throws me into the back of the police car. And the male officer is standing there, and he is like totally confused because he had no idea what was going on. He gets into the patrol car, and he looks at me and he says, please don't say another word to her. Don't open your mouth again. So now at this point, I'm kind of connecting that even he knows that this is a bad situation. And she takes me down to 55th and Grand, and she's sitting there with me. She didn't know what to do with me. She had no clue what to do with me. And I'm sitting in the back of the car, and I'm going, oh my God, she's going to kill me. A supervisor shows up. The supervisor does not speak to me. And she gets out the car. She speaks to the supervisor. The supervisor tells her, just write her up for aggravated disorderly conduct and interference with official police business. And she drives me over to the 1st District, I believe it was. And at this point, I didn't know that my husband and kids were in the car following. And so as they're taking me out of the car, she's like yanking me and pulling me. And she's like, just grabbing on me. She's very forceful. And my son at the time, who was probably 15, he sees this and he just starts screaming. I didn't even know he was there. He just starts screaming, take your hands off my mother. I'm sick of you. I get into the police department, into the station, and she and her friends that were there that were supposed to process me, I'm literally getting hit. I have a condition called fibromyalgia and very sore muscles, very hurt. This is in the very early stages of me being diagnosed, so I'm very sore, and movement and pulling on me, it's really, really doing some damage. And they weren't patting me down. They were literally hitting me as hard as they could. They were hitting me. There was one officer who says, okay, that's enough. Stop. Don't stop doing that. And they're literally hitting me. They didn't care. I was crying. They didn't care. They were humiliating me. They were saying very nasty things to me. You people are going to learn to listen when we tell you to do something. They weren't a pat down. You would expect is light touching to see if there's a weapon or anything there. I had on a blue jean dress that day, so you could very clearly see there were no weapons on me. They took my belt, they took my shoestrings, they took all those things. They even took my socks. I don't know why they took my socks, but they took my socks. Again, they were hitting me, and even after one had already done the hitting pat down, here comes number two doing the same thing, because as they told me, they were going to teach me a lesson. You people are going to learn to do what we tell you to do when we tell you to do it.